Hi, I'm Evie, editor of identityweek.net. We're here at the Convention Centre in Washington. I'm here now with Andrew Budd, who's the CEO and founder of iProov, who we've interviewed before at last year's show. Can you just give us an overview and explain again what genuine presence assurance is and what complex problems it's tackling?
So iProov is in the business of creating trust in remote users. Trust ultimately resides in what goes on between our ears, and biometrics is the key way in which you can assure the identity of a remote user. To assure someone biometrically, you have to make sure they're the right person, that they're a real person, and that they are present right now. That's a very complex problem, and it's got to be done in an incredibly usable and inclusive way so that people aged 9 to 90, whatever their device, can gain easy access to it. And we do that. We do it millions of times a day worldwide.
And how can this concept overcome a fraudster's attempt to hold up a photograph, a disguise, a mask? Is that still a problem today, right now?
So we have these three challenges. One is it the right person? That's face matching. That used to be a huge challenge. It's a solved problem. The second challenge is what you just described. Is it a real person, or is it some sort of an artifact, a photo and a mask? And people get very excited about that because you can build nice libraries of interesting masked works of art. And that presentation attacks used to be the principal threat to biometrics. But that was yesterday. That's a legacy. That's not the case anymore. Today, the big threat comes from synthetically generated imagery, typically done using generative AI, digitally injected straight into the data stream without any of the artifacts created when you put something in front of a camera. And these typically come nowadays from things like Android emulators, which completely bypass any attempt to detect such streams. So we're seeing imagery which is absolutely indistinguishable to the human eye from the real thing, but it's not. It's a fake. And trying to detect whether that is a real person present right now, when you're dealing with imagery of that sophistication, that is the key challenge. The way we do it is twofold. We have a technology called the flash mark, where we illuminate the user's face with an unpredictable changing sequence of colors on the device. And the way that the light reflects off their face and also interacts with the ever-changing ambient light, that tells us whether we're looking at a 3D live human face-shaped object or some sort of physical forgery. The sequence of colors, which is unpredictable to the attacker, that also has to be correct. The combination of those makes it extraordinarily difficult for an attacker to produce a convincing forgery. But no technology is invulnerable, and for that reason, the other part of our solution is our iProov Security Operations Center. Our system monitors every single verification attempt that takes place anywhere worldwide, and we look for signals of new kinds of attacks, of new kinds of frauds, of exploits. And when those exploits become real, we detect them, we learn from them, and we fix them within a very short time so that exploits don't become systemic. This type of fraud management is absolutely fundamental to maintaining the resilient security of any kind of system like this, and iProov is the only company in the world to provide it.
And how do regulated organisations achieve a seamless KYC compliance procedure online using iProov solutions?
So if you want to do a really good job of KYC, you need two things. You need a completely trustworthy source of biographic information and of a reference photograph, and you need a really reliable and strong source of a selfie. iProov provides an image of the person that is as trustworthy and reliable as if they'd turned up in person. So where do you get the document from? Well, in many places you have no choice but to take a photograph of the document, and that has some challenges. So typically, the best level of identity verification can be achieved using electronic identities. In Europe, we read passports a lot. So by tapping the phone to the passport, the contents of the chip can be read, and that provides all the biographics that are necessary and a reference photograph, all secured by the digital certificate created by the issuer. That is completely trustworthy, and it's as good as if it came from a central database. The combination of that plus iProov has been certified under the European EIDAS program regulation to be level of assurance high and good enough to prepare a qualified trust service provider. That is the gold standard. If you don't have a passport, then in some parts of the world, and soon it'll be in America, access either to the central database or to verifiable credentials created from something like a DMV provide just as good a level of assurance. So a high quality digital identity credential coupled with a high quality iProov genuine presence assurance gives an identity check that is really better than an in-person presentation.
It's based on cloud security. What's the protection that this provides in the cloud?
So there are many different debates about device versus cloud. When you're doing biometrics, the key security factor in biometrics is the liveness protection. If you put the liveness protection onto the device, you've handed the attacker a completely unrestricted, unmonitored laboratory with which to experiment with and ultimately break the liveness. And you'll never know they've done it, and you'll never know how they've done it. So in our view, it's a really, really, really bad idea to put liveness detection onto the device. So it's always essential to do liveness in the cloud to protect it and to ensure that it can continuously adapt and evolve. In addition, a little while ago, my son dropped his phone in the toilet. Didn't work so well afterwards. Is it fair that he should lose his entire identity credentials that way? It's not great. Of course, he recovered them, but he had to recover them without the benefit of a device. That can either be torture or it can be easy. And cloud-based identity verification makes it easy.
Those credentials are backed up. Andrew, it's great to talk to you, as ever. You've been at the Europe show this year. We saw you last year at America. I hope you have a good event this time.
Thank you very much. It's squaring up to be a great show this year.